Snow whispered across the deserted train platform, curling like smoke around the iron wheels of the waiting locomotive. The winter sun hovered low, painting everything in a soft amber glow that made even the cold feel almost tender. The town of Willow Creek lay quiet beyond the tracks, its wooden rooftops capped with frost, its silence broken only by the whistle of the wind and the faint chime of the station clock. Ethan Ward stood there, a tall, broad man whose presence seemed carved from the same earth that had raised him. His hat-brim shadowed eyes that had seen too much loss and too little light since his wife, Clara, passed 3 years ago. His coat was dusted with snow, his boots dark with mud, but his heart bore the heaviest weight of all, the silence of grief that time refused to lift. Beside him stood little Emma, barely 6, her golden curls peeking from beneath a knitted bonnet. She clutched her worn teddy bear, its fur thin and button eyes mismatched, and stared up at her father with a quiet curiosity that only a child could hold. "Daddy," she asked softly, "when will we see Mommy again?" Ethan's throat tightened. He knelt down, brushing a lock of hair from her cheek. "Someday, sweetheart. But Mommy's in heaven now, watching over us." Emma frowned, as though heaven was just another train stop they hadn't reached yet. She pressed the bear against her chest and looked down the snowy tracks. Then we'll wait here. Maybe she'll come home on the next train." Before Ethan could answer, the sharp cry of the locomotive sliced through the still air. The train pulled into the station, its wheels screeching as it came to a halt. Passengers spilled out, their breath fogging in the cold. Merchants, travelers, soldiers returning from distant towns. Ethan turned away, ready to lead Emma back toward their wagon, when he heard a voice, soft, feminine, a tone that pierced straight through his armor of grief. "Excuse me, sir, is this the platform for Willow Creek Ranch?" He turned, and time seemed to halt. The woman before him looked as though she'd stepped straight from one of his memories. Her hair, the same chestnut waves that once danced across Clara's shoulders. Her eyes, kind, warm, searching. She was dressed for travel, her ivory dress peeking from beneath a heavy wool coat. A letter clutched tightly in her gloved hand. For a long moment, Ethan couldn't move. The world dimmed around her, every sound fading, except for the rush of his heartbeat. It wasn't possible. Clara was gone. And yet, Emma tugged at his sleeve, her little voice breaking the spell. Daddy," she whispered, pointing at the stranger. "Daddy, she looks like Mommy." The words struck him like a thunderclap. The woman froze, her gaze shifting from Ethan to the child. Confusion flickered across her face. Then compassion. She knelt, smiling gently at Emma. "Hello there, sweetheart. My name's Lily. What's yours?" Emma's shyness melted under that warmth. "Emma, and this is Mr. Bear." She held up the toy proudly. Lily chuckled softly. "Well, it's lovely to meet both of you." Then, glancing up at Ethan, her voice softened. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to startle you." Ethan swallowed hard. "No, you didn't. It's just—" He hesitated, his words tangling with the ache in his chest. "You reminded me of someone I used to know." Lily looked down, nodding as though she understood more than he'd said. She must have been special. She was, he murmured, almost to himself. A gust of wind swept through, lifting snowflakes around them like ghosts of the past. For a heartbeat, Ethan thought he saw Clara's reflection in the train window. Smiling, proud, fading. He blinked, and it was gone. Lily unfolded the letter she'd been holding. I was told to bring this here. It's from the late Mrs. Ward. Clara Ward. Ethan's breath caught. What did you just say? Lily offered the letter. Its edges worn, the seal still intact. It was found among old papers in a mission house I used to work for. I thought her family should have it. His fingers trembled as he took it. The paper felt impossibly light in his hand, like holding the last piece of her. Slowly, he opened it, reading the words that his wife had written before she passed. Her handwriting was shaky, but her love still bled through every stroke. She had written about hope, about forgiveness, about letting his heart be open again. For himself, and for their daughter. By the time he finished, tears burned in his eyes. He looked up at Lily, who stood quietly, her expression unreadable but kind. Thank you, he said, voice rough. You don't need to thank me, she replied gently. Maybe it was meant to find its way to you now. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something stir, something alive, not the cold numbness of surviving, but the faint warmth of beginning again. As the train whistled and pulled away, the setting sun cast a golden hue over the snow. Emma slipped her tiny hand into Lily's. Will you come visit our ranch, Miss Lily? Lily smiled at Ethan before answering. Only if your daddy says it's all right. Ethan hesitated, then nodded once. Not as a rancher, not as a widower, but as a man daring to let hope in again. All right, he said quietly. You're welcome to come by. And as they walked away from the station, the little girl between them, her laughter echoing against the hills, the sky above. Willow Creek seemed to breathe again.